Yo, what's up, guys? Let me know if my volume is okay. How's everyone holding up in quarantine? Volume a little fucked. What does that mean? Too loud or not loud enough? Ear rape for headphone users. All right, so we've got a good batch of people here. So I'm just going to get into it. So today's stream, I want to cover the eternal stable coin, Bitcoin, and some stocks. Just kind of my general thoughts on the market and how someone like me is going into this recession/depression and kind of my plans on, what I want to do and how I plan on trying to capitalize on it. Because at the end of the day, in situations like this, there's always opportunity. We're not necessarily trying to catch the bottom of the market as we are trying to get into stocks and equities, at the right time and scale in. And this is a long-term play. One thing that is very funny that you see on Twitter now is everyone is commenting on the traditional markets, right? Everyone is commenting on the SPX and the Dow Jones and stocks and Forex and whatever. And this is a very common trend in crypto. I mean, all of a sudden everyone, if you haven't noticed in crypto, everyone is an expert at everything. It's really quite incredible. It's either this community is full of retards, or it is the most brilliant grouping of individuals I've ever seen in my entire life, and I'm leaning towards the former. It is funny to see how many people all of a sudden are like making calls on the bottom for the stock exchange or the next leg down or whatever it is. And really what they're doing is the same thing they did with crypto, is just regurgitating whatever they see some person else post, and that person's opinion is now their opinion. So it's very common. It's like when I talk to people who are trying to talk about politics, and I'm like, do you have your own opinion, or are you just repeating whatever you watched on CNN or Fox or MSNBC? So same goes here. Most people have no fucking clue what's going on. There's a whole lot more fundamental and systemic factors involved in analyzing the stock market than there is in analyzing crypto. It's a completely different beast, and I will not be surprised at all if most people make absolutely no money during this, drop and rebound, because they have no fucking clue what they're doing. People are trying to trade options now. It's quite funny. So, my advice would be keep it simple, and try not to drown yourself with information. It's time like these where information overload can happen because you have so many things happening at the same time. You don't know where to focus. The most important thing to do during a time like this is, and I'm specifically talking about traditional markets right now, is to be liquid. If you were fully exposed to equities, before the drop, right, that's obviously not great. I have some friends who are calling me being like my financial advisor. didn't sell anything up here, right? They're holding through this entire thing. If you're looking at this chart, you don't think this thing needed to cool off and have some sort of healthy retrace, you're dazed, right? It's no different than here. It became very steep. Nothing goes up in a straight line. So a lot of people were completely exposed and are eating the majority of this drop in their 401ks, RRSPs here in Canada, whatever your retirement savings fund might be called, or the mutual fund basket that your banker has you in. And it's tough, but my best advice would be, if you have cash, remain liquid. And I know they're printing money, the money printer goes blah, and they're printing money like no other. And is it going to lead to inflation? Who fucking knows? I'm not going to try and make predictions on stuff I don't understand. And that's the difference between me and many of the people that you're seeing talking just a bunch of garbage on Twitter. Is like, you don't fucking know, shut the fuck up. I don't talk about stuff that I don't really trade, and I don't talk about stuff that I don't really know. I'm not going to try and pretend to bullshit you guys here. So my opinion, though, is just looking at the last recession / depression as kind of a starting point. One, we have more room to go. The last recession dropped, I think, almost 60%. Right, 57%. We are 35. Okay, so still room to go, it seems. Also, there are, bounces, dead cat bounces, whatever you want to call it. We've had a very nice bounce here, right? But that could just lead to another, leg down, right? We had multiple bounces on the way down here. Nothing goes down in a straight line, right? This is a 15% bounce before price continued to plummet. Go way back to the Great Depression. Can we even see that far back? I could have sworn I had one that let me go all the way back to the Great Depression. There we go. The Dow. All right, so here's the Great Depression. The first rip, right? Down 50%. Then a huge rebound, right? Up 50%, and then continued to sell off. So, I mean, there's a good chance that the worst is still yet to come. Based on the corona situation, in my opinion, getting worse before it gets better. 2008 here, right? The bottom took time to form, right? Price action developed, and then it entered a clear uptrend, right? You could have waited to get back into the market, right? The dump started in 2008. You could have waited for this, right? So there's your low, there's your high. This is just simple market structure. There's a higher high now on the weekly. You could have waited to get in there and then entered on the next dip. Okay? So you're way late. You're missing the bottom by like years. But you're still catching, the meat of this move. You're still catching, a huge run and a huge part of this run up. And then again, right, you could have sold early, right? You could have sold when this low went out or something like that. But you're catching the meat of the move. And that's the plan for us here, is to catch the meat of the move. In my opinion, the stock market is designed to do one thing: go on huge bull markets, one after the other, nonstop, and have recessions in between. So in my opinion, once this bottoms, I expect another multi-year bull market. And that's just based on that's what it's done every single time for the existence of it. So why would I bet against it? It's kind of my similar logic to Bitcoin. It's like, okay, well, yes, Bitcoin, is crashing. But at the end of the day, what does Bitcoin like to do? it likes to go in bull markets and then have pullbacks, and then bull market, then pullback. So the stock market to me is no different, and that's what I'm going to be watching for. Is just like, I mean, at the end of the day, this is the biggest uptrend of all time. So I'm looking for something similar. Once the bottom forms, I want clear confirmation, and then I'm going to start loading up. Obviously, you can try and buy the bottom. There's a good chance you get fucked trying to do that. So, you're better off waiting for things to settle. If I was around in this time, well, I was alive, but if I was trading, what I'm doing now is I'm creating a stock list, and we can create a channel. I don't know if we already have one in BTG here. Maybe I'll make a new channel, and it will be about the recession, and let's track some stocks that we want to potentially put some money in. So the key is to remain liquid, right? Because we want to catch the meat of this move. You don't want to bust your nut early and buy and then have it drop another 30%. You're better off buying late on confirmation that the trend is shifting, because this is going to be a multi-year bull run, than you are going early and having a sit and drawdown, right? So stay liquid, right? You want to be able to stay liquid so you can buy once the market bleeds more, because I believe it will drop another 10+% at the very least, but I think even more. I'm thinking, honestly, I'm expecting like sub like 1800. I'm thinking we're going back down into these levels here, if I'm being honest with you, right? So I think we have way deeper we can fall, into this deep ass pullback, right? So we could fall another, from where we are right now, right? We could fall another 30%, 40%, and that would bring us to the totals of the last one, right? So no need to rush into this. You want to remain liquid so when the time comes, you can start scaling in. And also for other opportunities, right? There's going to be huge opportunities in real estate. Generally, what you see happen is the stock market starts to take a hit, unemployment rises, unemployment leads to defaults on debt. Those defaults on debt lead to a crash in the real estate market. We're starting to see it happen now. The unemployment numbers are skyrocketing. So I'm expecting, there to be maybe not as huge as this last recession where you're getting, houses in Florida for $100,000. But who knows, right? So you want to be liquid. Like, this is the main difference between this and crypto, is this is a long game. Like, you talk about crypto being a long game. Like, I posted that meme today and people were like, what are you talking about? Bitcoin's barely moved. I was like, it's barely moved for like 4 days. People forget 2 weeks ago it lost 50% of its value and then it went up 100% in the last 2 weeks, right? But that's because people are myopic. All they can see is the low time frame. They can't zoom the fuck out, and they're impatient, and that's why none of them will last in this game long term. This is a much longer term play. This bottom is going to take weeks to months to years to form, and this preceding bull market is going to take years and years to happen. This was a 10-year bull run. So it's going to be slower, right? That's going to be a huge change for a lot of people in crypto. This is the eternal value of Bitcoin, 666. It's just, I find it hilarious when people are like, oh, Bitcoin's barely moving. It's barely moving. It's like, okay, first of all, we're in a $300 range, right? But still, there's multiple 5% moves just within this range. But I'm like, are you forgetting what happened in the first half of the month where we dropped 50%? And then we gained 100% in a matter of like days, or then gained another 50%, right? I think it's even more. Right? Yeah, we gained almost 100%, like in a matter of days. But people's memory is just short, and people are just stupid. And the sooner you learn that, the better. I mean, an instance like this with what's going on with this Corona thing, like go on your Facebook if you just want to be reminded like of how dumb people are. I had a lot of friends and stuff who were like, this is just the flu. And now they're posting like all the like stay at home shit and like, oh, this is like deadly like statistics. I'm like, oh, like a few weeks ago this was just the flu, right? So I'm not going to get into the conspiracy theory part of it where it's like, is this perpetrated by China? Is this perpetrated? Who fucking knows? The bottom line is this was the catalyst for this next recession that we're now experiencing. In my opinion, it's going to get worse before it gets better, which means in my my thought process is there's no reason to be trying to jump into a fucking long on the stock market thinking you caught the bottom. I think there's going to be a lot more fluctuations happening, and you got time. There's no rush. So we want to be scaling. I mean, unless you're trying to day trade, the equities market, which you absolutely can. It's not something I do. There's been a huge bounce here. There's been a ton of volatility. You can absolutely day trade this shit. Loom Dart's been trading it. So go ahead. But for me, the way that I'm planning for this is I'm planning on getting a lot of money into things like gold and equities and real estate over the coming weeks to months to years when it looks like things are starting to bottom out. And I think, the perfect barometer for where we're going to be is, the progression of this corona thing. And if it continues to get a lot worse, there's a good chance we see, another significant fall in the market. So don't rush in. What I'll do is I'll create a channel if we want in Bitcoin Trade Group's Discord where we can track stocks that we're watching, because that's what you're going to want to do, right? The blue chip stocks, the Microsofts, the Amazons, like all of these huge companies, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be around when this shit is over, and it's if you're able to buy Microsoft at a 30% discount, you want to do that. And then hold it. And same goes for the market itself. I mean, if you look at Microsoft and you go back to 2008, right? So here's 2008. Microsoft lost 60% of its value, and then what happened? And 5 years later. Right? 5 years later, if you bought the absolute top, you're at break even. But if you bought anywhere in the 5 years after, so just using market structure again, let's say this is your high. Okay, well now you have a higher high. Or at worst, this is your higher high. Now you're buying, right? How nice of a ride did you get? Monstrous ride over the next, 6 years. So it's a long game. And there's going to be a lot of stocks that look like absolute shit, and then once the structure starts turning around, you can assume companies like this are not going anywhere, right? So, Microsoft could be trading in the hundreds of, $500 after the next bull run, right? And we could be buying it at 100. So we got to wait, we got to be patient, but we're going to want to track some of these stocks, and I'll make sure that I'm putting some work into that channel in terms of stocks that I'm watching that I want to start buying. And it can be one of those things where it's like you're buying on the way down, right? You're buying on the way down, buying on the way down. And then once the market structure shifts, you put your last buy in and now you're holding. And this is going to be a multi-year play, right? Multi-year play. So you have to have that step back, wide angle lens view, not the view like crypto where it's just like, oh, well, what the fuck is Bitcoin is barely moved. Bitcoin has barely moved in the last few days, so whatever. It's ignore that kind of attitude. These people are fucking stupid. They're staring at the 5-minute chart, and they are never going to last in this type of market long term. Sorry, 1 second. Just answering a quick text message here. Right, so this is going to be a long-term play. So what I'm doing is I'm doing my best to remain liquid. What do I mean by that? I mean, yeah, maybe you liquidate some of your crypto holdings, some of the money you've made in crypto. Obviously, you want exposure to crypto, but at the end of the day, you want to have money to put into the equities markets because money that you invest in this downturn, could set yourself up really well for the next, 5 to 10 to 15 years if you do it smartly. I don't know how much money you guys are dealing with. It's irrelevant, right? You can buy some equities. If you have a bunch of money, you can look to buy equities as well as real estate. I think gold is another, major thing that we're going to want to watch. Wow, what a fucking rebound so far on gold. I would like to buy gold much lower than where it is right now, but there's a good chance I don't get to. But I would love to buy gold like sub 1300 if I get the chance. And if the stock market takes another shit, I expect gold to take another shit with it. So that's kind of my, kind of high level game plan for now when it comes to the markets. This is going to be something that I don't need to update on every single day because it's going to take a while to progress. But what I'll do is I will post a new channel in Discord where we can discuss this kind of stuff and track some stocks that we might be interested in. And then, let's do this together. Let's do our best to, get ourselves set up and to watch what happens. Because, obviously this is a scary time, but it's also a very exciting time. Because, when the world's in, this kind of crazy chaos, huge opportunities come from it. So we want to just be aware, realize this is going to take time. You're not going to miss it. It's not going to bottom in a day. And let's just make sure you have bullets. So when the time comes to get involved, you can actually play. I made a post about opportunity cost on Twitter, and I don't think most people understand that. And I kind of touched on this in my last video, right? Like if you're losing a Bitcoin at $3,000 and it's going to 10 grand, you're going to be pissed when it gets there. Same goes with the equities market. If stuff is at a 30, 40, 50% discount, but you're blowing all your money trying to knife cap to the bottom, there's a good chance you would have just done better if you were just holding. Most people would have done better just buying Bitcoin and holding until now. Even though it went all the way up to 14, all the way back down to 3, and now it's at 6, that's still 100% on your money. Whereas many people bought at 3, sold at 5, bought again, sold, and probably ended up losing more often than not. So, we're going to be ready for this. I'm excited, but again, this is going to be a long-term play, so you have to zoom out on this one and try not to focus too much on the day-to-day price movements because you will go crazy. But I'm leaning towards much more downside on the stock exchange. I think a lot of people got caught out just on this rip here because they announced those unemployment numbers and everyone expected the market to shit. But I wouldn't be surprised if we go a little higher up into here, right? And then absolutely shit the bed. So let's wait and see. So let's quickly talk about Bitcoin, and then I will go over the stocks that people posted in Discord. Let me just check the chat here. All right. We chase the volatility. Yes, I sometimes I use the shift button. Sometimes it gives me problems. Crypto man, private, something Russian. I have no fucking clue. Please get into conspiracy theories. I've heard a few that are quite interesting. Who the fuck is smashing your microphone? Does it really sound that fucking bad? I'm not touching it at all. I'm just talking into it like I normally do. Yeah, I apologize if the sound quality is really shitty. Um, I literally haven't touched the mic since I started talking. Maybe if I turn it down a little bit, I need one of those Yetis. I think. Is this any better? Let me see. How about this? Is this better? Tell me if this is a little better. I don't know. I don't really. I'm not super tech savvy, so no. I have like a expensive headset on. Something is hitting my mic over and over again. Literally impossible. One sec. Is that a little better? I don't know. I'm gonna listen to this video back after I finish recording, and then we'll see if I can get a lock. This hasn't been a problem before. I've been using this mic for months now. So let's see here. How often do I make reviews for BTG? I try and do at least 3 videos a week, as well as upload the Discord. My consistency's been less than ideal lately, but yeah, gonna try and at least do 3 videos a week covering Bitcoin, and I'm going to incorporate more and more traditional markets in my stream, just to kind of be cognizant and aware of the situation we're in. Yeah, I try and keep it updated as much as possible. I know Matt's been doing a great job doing a lot of updating for you guys. I know he also did like a live trading video, what it seemed everyone liked. I would like to do a live trading video. The difference is when you're trading high time frame, I might enter 2 or 3 trades in an entire week, if that, if any. So it's a little different for him and Tyler, who are trading on the much lower time frame than I am. Okay. How about that? Is that better, Chris? Maybe you can. Maybe you can shoot me a DM on Discord there, Chris, and give me some instructions um, how to better use my microphone with OBS Studios. I'm sure there's a better way to integrate it, and I'm probably not doing it. I've been thinking of buying one of those like little standalone Yeti mics. I'm literally using like an over the ear pair of headphones with a mic attachment. It used to seem to work very well. So, um, Yoji, we all do multiple videos a week. Yeah. Are some of you guys like not in BTG? Like I'm confused. I wonder if this is public. That's why. That's probably why I'm getting so many questions from people who are not within BTG right now. So for those of you who are not, um, yeah, for those of you who are not, BTG is the Discord I keep referring to, where we talk about all of this kind of stuff on a daily basis. So, um, regardless, yeah, Blue Yeti, just don't touch the laptop. Okay, I'll try not to touch the laptop at all. I'll be very, very careful. I wonder if this is the issue there. Okay, so let's talk about Bitcoin here. Um, so with Bitcoin, we're in an interesting spot. So I mean, again, I think those people who are talking about like, oh, there's no volatility in Bitcoin, like they need to zoom out. So yes, we've had pretty steady price for the last 3 days, 3 whole days. But before that, I mean, we've had huge volatility. The month of March has been absolutely crazy in terms of volatility. So if you're just looking at the chart, with no levels on it on the high time frame, is there a case that this could be the bottom? Of course. It is very hard to say. I was kind of hoping that the bottom was going to form here, right? I thought this was the bottom. This is the higher low here. Obviously, this low has now been taken out. If you're just looking at the chart like this, ignore this here. Ignore that it's Bitcoin. Ignore that that you have some emotional attachment to this and you think it's going to 100K one day, because that bias, regardless of what you do, is going to affect your trading in the way that you analyze the market. If you're just looking at the price action here, if you're just focused on the price action here, right? This looks like downtrend. This looks like a low, or a high, a low. This looks like a lower high. We've now made a lower low, and we're now retesting that previous low. So the price action suggests that this is probably going to continue down, and that's why everyone on Twitter is bearish. At least a lot of my feed is bearish. A lot of my feed is bearish, targeting like sub 5K, and there's nothing wrong with that in my opinion. I mean, the price action looks shitty. I'm inclined to believe that this low is in place. I mean, here's the thing, and I've talked about this in previous videos. The situation that's going on with the traditional markets and the coronavirus creates systemic risk to crypto. Crypto is not a safe haven asset. Crypto is not a risk off asset. It is a risk asset, much like any of the equities. So when the overall market is getting crushed, Bitcoin is susceptible. What we are seeing is that Bitcoin's volatility seems to be higher, right? When the stock market is dumping, Bitcoin seems to dump harder. When the stock market's recovering, Bitcoin seems to recover harder. I'm not trying to convince you here of correlation or anything along those lines. If we're coupled to the market, if we're decoupling, I don't really care. I'm more of the mindset where, if Bitcoin has a use case that it is, some sort of asset that is not completely tied to the market, now would be a great time for that to come through. But I'm not going to try and guess. I'm not really interested in trying to guess that the bottom is in or the bottom is not in for clout online. I would rather just trade this level to level until it's a little more clear. I think there's an argument to be made that until we are trading above here, the bottom is not in. And I know that's very far from where we are now, but that's just the way it is. I mean, if we lose this low, I think Bitcoin goes much lower. I think if we lose this low here, we could see Bitcoin cut in half again into the $1,500, $1,000 to $1,500 range. Obviously, as a Bitcoin owner and a long-term Bitcoin bull, I hope that doesn't happen. I do believe that there was a huge amount of money changing hands in this wick here. I think a lot of weak hands got shook out. No one really thought we were going to come back this low. So I do think there's something to be said that this could have been the bottom. I mean, this monthly candle could close looking very bullish. If we're closing back above 64.10 on the month of March, I think that's quite bullish. If we close below there, I think that's bearish. So something to be aware of for sure. Where we close this monthly candle in a few days, definitely something to watch. I think for the bulls, you want to see us close above here. Now, if you look at even higher on the time frame, we could actually close this 3-month candle green if we close above 71.63. This is also the yearly open. This is a quarterly candle. 3 months ago was the start of the year, right? So if we can get above the yearly open, 71.63, this 3-month candle could actually close green, which again, I think would be quite bullish. So, I mean, if you're looking for levels to watch on the high time frame, I think if we can kind of close above here, that's relatively bullish for potential for more upside. But, it's too early to tell for me whether or not the bottom is in. I'm not going to try and guess. The price action looks like shit. The overarching systemic risk of the stock market and the coronavirus situation makes me think that we will go lower. But my inner Bitcoin bull and just the sentiment of the market makes me think that the bottom is in. If this coronavirus situation was not going on, I would be a whole lot more confident in thinking that the bottom is in, simply because the sentiment is uber bearish, right? A lot of people got shaken out on this wick. This had the makings of capitulation in terms of volume and in terms of market sentiment. I mean, the fact is, we almost went to zero on BitMEX, right? Like, in my opinion, people who didn't sell here on this wick, I don't think they're selling, me included. Like, I'm going down with the ship, and I know that's not a technical, that's not good trading, but that's the bottom line, right? Like, we're at 3,000. I'm like, to me, I'm selling Bitcoin above 20K, or I'm not selling it. And I think a lot of people who are still in the market have that same mentality. Maybe it has to go lower first. Again, there is that overarching risk that if the stock market shakes another shit, Bitcoin goes with it. But I do think there were some clues that this could have been the final capitulation. I mean, retesting this bear market bottom, right, into high time frame support. We had capitulation volume. A lot of money exchanged hands here. Do I think it V bottoms? I mean, I doubt it, but it is possible. I think if the bottom is going to form, it's more likely to form in some sort of, Wyckoffean fashion, which is, here's our move to the range high, and then a break low, and then a spring, right? And then a recovery, and then a move up. That seems much more likely as a bottom pattern to me than just some sort of V. But it is possible. It's happened before. So I'm keeping my options open. The price action to me, just on the lower time frames, doesn't look good, right? We're failing to close over the EQ here, but we're also not dumping. And so if you remember in Discord, I talked about this level, right? So I talked about this level as basically if we get above 6.4, I'm expecting a move into 7.8. And what is that 6.4 level? It's that low right here. And if you zoom out to the weekly, right, it's that key swing low. That's where that 64.10 level comes from, right there. It's also, as you can see, key SR, beautiful straight line there. I'll just do like this. If you do here, right, there's key SR, obviously, here. So to me, if we're holding above this level, if we close above this level on the monthly, I actually think we get another push higher. Again, I think everyone is looking for a reason to short Bitcoin right now. Understandably, the PA doesn't look great, but in my opinion, I think a move up to here and then a breakdown is just as likely as breaking down from here. So since I don't know for sure, I'm playing this level to level. So right now, the levels that I'm interested in, and I covered this in my last video, are if we can get up here, potentially look for a short, back down into here. If we are to dump down, I would look to buy in between 58 and 61. I don't think it dumps. Everyone's targeting like 4,900 on their shorts. I saw a lot of shorts get posted today on Twitter. A lot of people were targeting, very low prices. Absolutely, we could just go like this. But I think I would look for a buy here if given the opportunity. Otherwise, I think I look for a short higher. To me, the risk reward to long right into resistance here is not there from a trading perspective. We could teleport up here, but there's no way for me to define my risk and get solid risk reward here with a setup that I like. Just looking at this price action, I mean, you could long right. You're longing right into resistance. You absolutely could do it, right? But where does your stop go? Where are you wrong? I mean, I gotta be wrong down there. So, I mean, you could do it. You could do it. Stop. I guess you could have a pretty loose stop, but you're longing into resistance, right? So it's a coin flip. So not a trade that I'm interested in taking. It's also Friday. I don't like being in trades on the weekend. I find that the volatility usually sucks, and I don't want to be sitting staring at my chart on the weekend. I want to be enjoying my weekend stuck inside my house. So I would just wait and see, but we're consolidating under this resistance. One thing that's bullish, right, is one tap, two tap, three tap, and we're not dumping, right? Dumped, higher low, right? Now we're up against this level, we're consolidating under resistance, and we're not pushing down. It seems like there's solid demand here above the or below the market, preventing us from dumping below 6.6. So that is bullish inherently. I don't think you need to rush into a trade. I think if you're super eager to get in a trade on this thing, right, what you do is you just bracket off the market like this. So there's your range basically. So mark these two levels on your chart. You trade a breakout, right? You trade a breakout. We break through this level, we pull back, you can long it, right? Your stop goes, once we pull back and you long, right, you define your risk. So what does it look like on the low time frame, right? It might look like this, right? There's your low, right? There's your risk now, and then the next pullback, you're long, right? That would be getting in on confirmation. Or if we break through and you want to be more aggressive, right? Once it pulls back, you long it, you can put a stop down here. Or do the exact same thing on the other side. A breakdown, right? Let's assume this just rolls over here. Your stop goes up there, sell the pullback. Those are your two levels. Like if you're like, hey, I want to get in a trade once this range breaks, because we're going to have a multi-$100 candle one way or another. If we break to the upside, it's going to go into the 7,000s. If we break to the downside, we're probably going into the high 5,000s, low 6,000s. So there's a nice trade coming up once we break out of this range. So if you want to get in a trade, trade the breakout. Okay, that's what I would do. But for now, personally, I'm going to be sitting on my hands. I do think that this could break up. I think I know everyone hates saying everyone, but a lot of people on my feed are looking at the exact same short. They could be right. Some of them are very good traders, but I think there is a chance that this thing just chads up. If it does, I'm looking to short here. If it turns over, I'm looking to see if I can get a long in this gray. So this gray area comes from the 12-hour. It's here. Again, this level, right, that 64.10 level, we have a 12-hour order block right here that we're now under. So if we get over this, I think that's quite bullish, okay? On a monthly time frame, I'm looking at, for monthly close, which is Wednesday of next week, I'll definitely do another video before then, but monthly close coming up, I want to see a monthly close above here at the very least, okay? Monthly close above there for the bulls. I'm talking bull case here. Super bullish, monthly close above here, the yearly open. Would be very bullish in my opinion, which would make this candle green. What a hideous 3-month candle it is, but I think that closing green would be super bullish. But for now, I'm sitting on my hands. These are the areas that I'm watching on Bitcoin. Yes, the volatility has been pretty dry. Set alerts. Set an alert at 6,800. Set an alert at 6,500. Walk away. You don't got anywhere to go. You're quarantined anyways. So why stare at the chart? Let price do something, and then make your move. I'm a huge believer in not trading on the weekend. Like if you're staring at your screen Monday to Friday, entering trades, like take a few days off. It's good for you mentally to not be in a trade all the time and to have some downtime. You'll be a better trader for it. Damn, I am public, I guess. Hey, I didn't even realize I tweeted this link out. Oh, my Twitter though. I must have. What it is I must be public on here because my last live stream I did was public, so I should have made this private. But it's too late. You guys are getting the free sauce. So, anyways, once it breaks out, it will be a bazooka. Maybe it won't give a chance to get in. Yeah, there's a good chance, right? But you could also zoom in, right? So let's say you're on the hourly. This is not something I would be doing. Here, hold on 1 second here. Once we break out, right, on the hourly, you can zoom in, right, and look for a pullback on the low time frame, right? Because even though on the hourly, this might look like, just one big up candle here. So if that looks like one big up candle here on the hourly, right? Notice on the 15, right, you do get some structure, right? So the lower time frames offer you more visibility, right? It's like zooming in. So one up candle, it is zooming in. One up candle on the 12-hour might be, is like this on the 1 hour, right? So if you're also worried about missing it and there's not being a pullback, the other way that you can trade it is you can use limit orders. You can use like a stop market order, so like you can have a stop, a buy stop that will get you into the market. If we trade here, it will automatically enter you into position. Sell stop, same thing. So there's other ways to do it. You could just buy on a candle close. If we get a candle close above this level, right? Let's say the level's here or something. You enter the trade. You just go in and you enter. But there is the risk that we hit the close and it's a fake out. So I mean, that's trading. You're not going to know for sure. You're not going to be right every time. But there's ways to do it. I generally trade the high time frame, right? So I generally get entries. I mean, my last trade that I posted, I didn't even end up taking, but it triggered. I posted this in Discord, right, guys? Was this? There's your pullback, right? And then we had a nice move. So this is why I like trading the 4 hour, right? You had literally 2 or 3 days to get into this trade, right? So you're not staring at the chart all day long. That's what I prefer much more than trading the low time frame. So if I'm looking at this on the H4, there's no trade for me here, right? The trade for me is a pullback into here, right? The trade for me is this. And if it's not going to give it to me, guess what? I don't get in a trade. I wait for the next one. That's the beauty of having a system that you enjoy and that works and fits with your schedule. Is you're not trying to force anything, right? I could absolutely zoom in to the hour and force myself into a trade here. Absolutely, I could do it. If you think this is going to break up, right? If you think this is going to break up, you should just be looking to get along every time it's trading below the 50% of the range. You could just do that. I could force myself into a trade like this and be like, okay, well, if we get a dip in here, I'm longing. Stop at the range low. that's a trade. Stop down here, any sort of dip into here, you long. But I'm not going to force myself into something on the weekend on the low time frame. Doesn't make sense for me. So we're grinding up into this level. Something is going to happen soon, and I think it will be a multi-$100 candle either way. I've kind of laid out my plan, and hopefully that helps you guys out. If you are interested in these types of videos more often, now that I'm realizing I am on public video here, I was wondering, I was like, there's so many viewers, this is weird. I'll be doing, I do these multiple times a week in Bitcoin Trade Group. So let's see here. Do you think there's a realistic chance of filling the 9K CME gap before we reverse trend again? I have no fucking idea. I'm not trying to guess. In my opinion, I think if we get back up towards 9K, we're not coming back down here. I think, there's one person on Twitter who I really like following. This guy. This guy's been money. This guy's been money lately on the macro, right? So he was one of the only people I saw talking about like 3K targets when we were trading up here. I didn't see anyone else talking it like this guy. He shorted 14K, he shorted 10K again. He's been nailing all of this stuff. He uses order blocks and EQs, so there's some big facts right there. So he thinks this is the bottom. He thinks we're V reversing. He believes that there is, there was a huge amount of volume and money that changed hands, and he believes the bottom is in. I'm not trying to, just copy what he says. It says, well, if he says the bottom is in, it's in. But the guy's been, very spot on with his macro analysis, and he's one of the major bulls that I still see out there. Most people are leaning bearish or waiting for more clear structure. I'm kind of in that waiting for more clear structure camp because, this can retrace higher than it has, right? Let's assume we're going to continue to go down, right? We could come all the way up. Notice how I talked about shorting here, right? Well, that would be a nice big retrace right into the your OTE area. So we can come much higher before dumping. We could come, right? We're retesting these lows. This could be it. We could come higher and then dump. This could be the bottom. We could come up and then go like this. I would love this to be the situation because I own Bitcoin, obviously, but not going to try and guess. Going to play this level to level. So that's all I got to say on Bitcoin, guys. I'm not in a position right now. I'm flat. I have a feeling that I'm leaning toward the pop up. Like if I had to, gun to my head, pick a direction, I think we go up from here a little higher towards 7-8. I absolutely could be wrong. I just do feel like a majority of my feed is all looking at the same short. So we'll see. All right, so this video is at an hour, so I'm going to end it there. If you guys have any questions, anything like that, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Discord. Bitcoin Trade Group is where I do this all the time now that I've realized this video is public. So I will catch up with you guys soon. Like I said, any questions, anything like that, feel free to hit me up, and I will chat you guys in the Discord.